How hard is it to fit 35s on your 21 plus F-150? Well, brother, it's easier than you think. We got one in today, so we're gonna show you. My name is Sean Bowman. This is the Shock Surplus Shop, so let's talk some shocks. For those of you guys new here at the Shock Surplus Party, we like to test every suspension system we sell on our own vehicle so we can give you guys real world feedback. Probably the biggest questions we get asked are, what tires can I fit on my vehicle? So we're making a more concerted effort to give you guys the rundown on what you can actually fit, since if you've seen any of our rigs, we like it big. To give you guys a rundown on actually how we make sure tires clear is we put a suspension system on without its springs and we cycle it from fully extended to fully compressed, steer it all the way through its steering lock to make sure nothing hits. Today we have a set of IBOC 2.0 coilovers on, which we're gonna be testing soon, and they ended up having the same compressed length as stock. So actually a lot of what we talk about here will be applicable if you don't do anything to your suspension. Now I wish I had a lot more interesting things to say, but the big surprise here was them damn things just pretty much fit. So this is a 315/70/17, which colloquially we just call a 35 by 12.5, although you can buy a 35 by 12.5. These are a BFG KO3, what you would get on a Raptor with the 3rd gen Raptor takeoff wheels, which this whole package is a big reason why they clear. It's really the offset of that wheel. Now, on this particular truck, this truck had a plus 55 offset on an 8.5-inch wide wheel. These are down from a 20 to a 17 by 8.5 with a plus 45. That plus 45 offset is just a little bit lower than stock, which means it gives you just that little bit of clearance you need from the chassis and everything inboard of the tire, but not so much that you're banging outside of your fenders. This also ensures, by having a relatively high offset, that we're not crazy on scrub radius. As you increase the width of your wheel, tire, as well as decrease offset or play with backspacing, the radius your tires take when you steer increases. So a great way to explain it is, if you have a very low scrub radius, it's like the tire is pivoting on an axis in the center of the tire. But if you have a very low offset wheel, have tons of scrub radius, that means the tire is moving on an arc basically outside of the hub. So it is much larger, which means you run into clearance issues behind the tire, ahead of the tire. So really, we think if you're gonna run a wheel, it's gotta be a 17 by 8.5 plus 45, or you can play with the rim size, but the 8.5 plus 45 is critical. Most of the aftermarket wheels for these are going as low as a 0 offset, which I think really is just kicking you in the teeth in terms of clearance, because like I said, if we were any lower than this, brother, we would be having issues. Now, additionally, this BFG all-terrain, like most BFGs, runs on the smaller side than everything else. Actual true size is more like 34 inches tall, more like just under 12.25 inches wide. So if you were going to run a tire that is more true to size, a true 35 by 12.5, you might run into some trimming issues, or you might need to trim a couple things. And those things will include basically the liners just touch behind and ahead of the tire. And I'd imagine if you're much bigger than this, your crash bars, at least up front, would need to be removed. Now, Ford makes those a bolt-on option, and there are high clearance crash bars available. So if you're worried about an intrusion event in terms of an accident, you are still covered. That said, on vehicles that come with 35s from Ford, like Raptors and Broncos and stuff like that, they actually take out those crash bar mounts or those anti-intrusion bars, because they figure if your tire's that big, it's not coming into the cab anyway. So if those are things you had to just unbolt, you're probably still safe. Now, another modification this truck has compared to a base model F-150 is it is running the trimmer front bumper and skid plate in place of the factory valence and bumper. Pretty much guaranteed that if you have the base model bumper with that electronic automatic valence, it's not gonna clear, but for around 500 bucks, you can get a trimmer bumper, and the skid plates looks better, performs better, and let's be honest, you were gonna probably rip off that factory valence anyway. Now, this is very conservative in terms of sizing for a 35. If you were to run a tire that is more true to size, any larger, you might have to do a little bit of extra trimming, but for us, this pretty much works. And additionally, since these IBOCs are the same length compressed as a stock shock, you could pretty much run any coilover or strut on the market and be pretty confident that these will clear, or a setup like this will clear. Now, We actually have a review obviously coming soon on these iBucks. We're not throwing them on for no reason. So make sure to like, subscribe, and tune in for that video because we're going to give you the whole lowdown on why you want to have a set of these. Otherwise, if you guys got questions, concerns, you want to look at something, make sure to give us a comment below. Shoot us an email on our site, shocksurplus.com. And in the meantime, we'll see y'all out on the trails.